two, one. Hello, everybody. How you doing? This is Robert Rivera with Who's On First, and today we have a sad and a happy story, and we have Scott Yeltz.
Yelle, yeah, perfect.
Okay, and he's gonna tell us a great story about baseball and things that happened to him, and he's gonna share his son's story. So, Scott, how are you? Introduce yourself.
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me on, Robert. Appreciate it. Thanks for helping share our story. So yeah, Scott Yelle, lifelong baseball fan. So I got in the game, as a second grader because when I was in the 70s, they didn't have all that junior soccer and t-ball, and first team sport I could play was baseball, and I've been hooked ever since. So but yeah, so I'm in the process of finishing a quest that my son and I had started. So he was born in 2002, and we probably started this in about 2006 when he was about 5 or so. But we started visiting major league ballparks. So it started off innocently enough that we just took him to first game. It was in Oakland. We were living in California at the time. I made sure I waited till the Red Sox came to visit, because I'm a Red Sox fan. I wanted to make sure he was a Red Sox fan. And then it morphed. We just realized we'd been to 3, 4, 5 ball clubs. And I said, hey, we should try to get to all 30. He's like, yeah, I'm in. So we are on a quest to try to get to all 30. And luckily we got the 12 of the 30 together. But unfortunately, about a year ago, he was killed by a hit and run driver at the age of 21. He was away with his college club team. They had gone away to Myrtle Beach to celebrate the seniors like they did every year. So there was about 50 guys from the baseball team and their dates, and sadly he was hit from behind. So obviously it's a tragic thing. It's every parent's worst nightmare, right? Your world's upside down in 3 seconds, right? So we kind of survived and got through the summer and just took it day by day. And then in the fall of last year we decided to start a foundation. So we started the Jackson Yelle Family Foundation, and to try to honor my son and do some things. And really the mission of the foundation is to try to help develop young men and women, right? Give them opportunities to go forth in the world, to do great things, to be good citizens, and try to help develop them. We just feel it's hard to be a young person today and make that transition from high school to college and then into the real world. So about the same time, I was like, all right, well, how can I finish this journey that he and I were doing to visit all 30 ball clubs, find a way to raise some money for our foundation, but then also to give back? And so I started putting out into the world to my baseball community, said, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. Any ideas, any ways, or things you can think about? And a friend of our family's is the Wingo. So if you know ESPN, Trey Wingo was a ESPN broadcaster there, and now does a lot of football stuff on his own. But Trey recommended, hey, you should check out the MLB Nike RBI program. RBI stands for Reviving Baseball in Inner Cities.
Inner City.
Yeah. So I checked it out, and it's like, wow, this is pretty cool. This is it's got supports men and women, right? Young men and women through baseball and softball, and but obviously it teaches them about the game, but also teaches them life skills. And so just do a lot of research on the website, listen to some videos, and it's like, so this is it. This is a great fit. So reached out to MLB. They've been amazing. They were on board from the very beginning. And so I mapped out the remaining 18 ball clubs, and starting back on March 31st, I've started to visit the remaining 18 ball clubs. And as of today, I've been to 24 of the 30. So I've done 12 without Jackson and 6 more to go. So I'll wrap up the journey on June 9th of this year in Detroit.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's amazing. I mean,
yeah,
it's to hear the story. It's heart-wrenching. My condolences to you and your family.
Thank you. Yeah.
And it's something that it's a parent's worst nightmare. And to have your world turned upside down, but then to turn it around and have baseball help you heal in your mourning process, that's, to me, is amazing. I wouldn't know how to react to something like that. I hope and pray it never comes about. But that is something that's amazing. And it's something that you can share with your son. And I'm sure he's looking down going, Dad, I can't wait. We're gonna get all these fields. We're gonna see all the teams. I'm
Yeah.
sure he's looking down. Wow, that's amazing. Well, I got this beautiful here field back in Pittsburgh. Have you gone to Pittsburgh?
I have. I would say it's a neck and neck battle between, PNC Park in Pittsburgh and probably Dodger Stadium right now for my number 2 favorite
Yeah,
club or favorite park. So
yeah. I've
Fenway will always be number 1, but PNC really blew me away. I was really impressed.
Okay. I mean, so you had a love of the game and you passed it on to your son. And I mean, he what position did he play?
Yeah, so obviously I think growing up, if any kid's above average, they all pitch. So he pitched some when he was younger, but mostly first base and right field is where he spent most of his time.
Okay.
So he smart, I'd say probably above average IQ for on the field and just understanding, being in the right place at the right time. Slow as a turtle. He picked that up from dad, and it was
Well,
probably 45 seconds to get from second to home. It was his
yeah,
his
you
time.
ain't gotta be fast if you hit him 400 feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So mostly first base and right field.
Okay. Well, so what was his number? What was his favorite number?
Number 2 is what he wore most of the time. Yeah, he was
Okay.
a Xander Bogaerts fan when Xander was the Sox, and so number 2 was his number of choice.
Oh, wow. All right. So he made it all the way up into college. Was he planning on maybe trying for the major leagues, or was he taking his degree and going into something else? Or
Yeah, so the team he played on at Elon. So this is his hat. So he does go with me everywhere. So I wear this hat to every game, and so he gets to come watch with me. He was on the club team, so he wasn't on the varsity team. So he came to me, I think August of his junior year, and said, "Dad, I thought about playing in college, and I think I just want to be a student, and then try to find a club team." And so he was on the Elon club team and not the Elon varsity. So he knew that there was no pro, scenario in his future.
okay. And what was he studying in college?
Yeah, so he was a business analytics major with a minor in stats.
Okay. I
Yeah.
mean, he could probably turn that around and maybe not be a player on the field, but I'm sure he can probably get into a front office somewhere or something.
Yeah, so it's a cool story. There's a company called TrackMan Baseball that does a lot of analytics and stats for Major League Baseball. And so he had an internship here on Cape Cod where we live. He had did an internship with TrackMan Baseball for the Cape Cod Baseball League.
Okay.
And so his job every day was to go to a ballpark, wherever there was a game, wherever he got assigned. He'd set up the computer, and then make sure it was all working properly and flow the data, out into the world for the MLB scouts. But he loved it. He got to sit behind home plate every day. He got all the stats. He got to talk to all the scouts, and so that was his summer, the summer of 2022. So
Yeah, I mean that must be a terrible job. You have to go to a baseball game. It's something that it's my nightmare and my dream all at the same time.
yeah, and again, this is all wood bat, one of the premier college summer leagues in the country, and yeah, so he had a blast. He would be texting me, "Oh, Dad, so and so just hit a 438-foot bomb, and his exit
Wow.
velo was 107, and the spin rate on so and so's pitches were excellent." So he was just really enjoying himself.
All right. Wow,
Yeah, it was cool.
I mean, something like that. It reminds me of a story. One day, my wife had told me that the Tampa Bay was playing a playoff game down in Tampa, and
Yeah.
it's like, you're off for the week. You want to go down? I said, nah. I was a Tuesday. It was a 1 o'clock game. I was like, I'm not really interested. And she said, listen, go to the game. I said, no, I don't want to go to the game. And I get a phone call again. Hey, you going to the game? I said, I'm not going to the game. She goes, get out of the house and go to the game. And I'm like, what? She goes, when I get home, you better not be there. And I said, okay. And I said, ah. So I got dressed and I get in the car and my dad calls me, like, what's going on? And I'm like, no, I'm going to a baseball game. Me and Molly had a big fight. She threw me out the house. And he goes, she threw you out the house. And he goes, Robert, you got to calm down. And I said, no, it's okay. She's forcing me to go to a baseball game. And he goes, I knew I liked that girl for a reason.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was always a good story. So I'm
Yeah.
coming back to your son. I mean, it's something tragic like this. It's something that, I mean, what advice would you give to somebody that's, maybe winds up in your situation?
Yeah, so ironically, I have met people in the same situation. So unfortunately, you joined a club that you never want to be a part of. But yeah, I think unique is grief for, grief is unique for everybody, right? So it's, my wife feels it, sees it, deals with it differently than my daughter, than me, and just, I think all based on the relationship with the person. But if you knew Jackson, he was pretty happy-go-lucky, and I think when we're not sure, we ask ourselves the question, well, what would Jackson do, right? Well, what would Jackson want? And so he wouldn't want us to be sad. And so I think once we decided to start the foundation, we just said, hey, we're going to try to focus on the positives and try to do some good. So one of the things I failed to mention is, so as I go to every one of these ball clubs, we donate $1,000 to the Nike RBI program in that city, right? And so at the end, we will have donated 18,000, and that's just kind of our way of giving back. And hopefully the foundation can help support some young men and women. And so I think he'd be thrilled if he knew that he was being able to make an impact on kids, around the world, around the US, and through baseball and softball. So also my only advice is, don't do it alone. Don't, see a therapist, find a group of friends. So for me, I've created, and I have a group of grieving dads. We call ourselves, all folks that have lost children, and not necessarily in baseball. And it's just a safe environment for us to talk about it, right? There's kind of a society stigmatism that, we men have to be strong for all the women folks in our lives. And
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard for men to show emotion and be open and honest with women in a room. And so this is a group that we just get together as just guys. We talk about what's bugging us, and it's pretty raw, but it's pretty therapeutic.
All right. I mean, now going to all these fields, these major league ballparks and these teams, has anybody ever come up and say, hey man, baseball player, big star, hey, I heard your story, really tugged at my heart, here's a baseball, or here's something for the foundation?
Yeah, so I'm pretty blessed. All the clubs. So once MLB got behind it, I started talking to all the clubs on my schedule way back in January, and everybody's just been amazing. So a lot of times I get there for home team batting practice. So for example, at the Dodgers last week, the start time was 7:10, and I had to be there at 3:30. So get there early, usually get a chance to see the stadium before the crowds come. And then I get to go hang out and watch these guys do infield and batting practice. And I tell all the people, like, I could do that every day, just that. I mean, it's so amazing to me to watch. And so I've been very fortunate. And I'll just, last week, for example, was pretty epic. Monday in Seattle, I got to meet Ichiro.
Wow.
Tuesday in Arizona, I got to meet Corbin Carroll and the manager of the Diamondbacks, Torrey Lovell, and I'm probably not pronouncing his name right, but a former Red Sox. Yeah, so former Red Sox. So that was really cool. And then Ryan Thompson, I got to throw out the first pitch in Arizona. So Ryan Thompson, one of their pitchers, received it. And then on to Angel Stadium, I got to meet Mike Trout, even though he wasn't playing that night. But yeah, future Hall of Famer there. And then in LA, I got to meet Freddie Freeman. And so I would say 90% of the time I'm meeting some sort of a dignitary, celebrity on the field, whatever you want to call them. And so it's pretty special. And everyone's just been gracious. They're sorry for obviously my loss, but they're
Right.
Inspired by what we're trying to do with the foundation, and very supportive.
Yeah. I mean, you ever look up and like Phil Jackson or something, or maybe it was a gray sky, and then all of a sudden you get on the field and the sun comes out or something like that?
Yeah, not anything that dramatic, I would say. I definitely know he's there with me. Like I said, I wear his hat, and it's just, I tell everybody, I don't know if I'll ever heal from this, Robert, to be honest. It's not like when I tore my Achilles and doctor, sewed me up and I was able to get back to stuff in 4 months. But I would say the tour is very therapeutic. There's such an energy in a ballpark, and I don't care if it's little league or high school or even the pros. There's just, people are all there for the same reason, baseball, right? And there's just a vibe and an energy, and baseball has its own certain sounds and smell and feel to it, right? Then versus some other sports. And I don't know, it's just a thrill to be at a ballpark and experience it and just soak it all in. So
I know baseball players are very superstitious. Did Jackson have any superstitions or things that he liked to do?
Yeah, you know, I'm not sure. I don't, not that he ever made it wear it to me. So maybe that was his superstitions. I can't tell that.
Yeah, all right. So how about did he ever have like a favorite food when he went to the ballpark, or maybe like a favorite saying?
Well, he was definitely an ice cream guy. So if we were going to a ballpark, there was always ice cream. So that's for sure. Um, I think his favorite saying was probably, "Oh, this is the life," right? Just that this is, just I think he appreciated all the experience he had, growing up and even in school at college. And um, so yeah, a lot of times he was putting his arm around the guy or gal next to him and saying, "Wow, this is the life."
Okay, all right. So did he have any favorite players for a favorite time? Well, we said Boston is probably his favorite team, but
Yeah.
he said his favorite player was
Xander Bogaerts was his favorite, which is interesting because obviously Xander was a shortstop and Jackson was more first base, right field. But yeah, for some reason he was drawn to the X-Man. So
okay. I mean, did he have any like great plays, any highlights or anything that you can share with us?
yeah, there's a few good memories. I remember his first home run in Little League. It was interesting because he had really roped the ball twice hard in his first two at bats, and he was so frustrated because he had hit him right to the second baseman or near the second baseman. The second baseman made a couple of great plays. Then he got the third time and he roped it to right center, and so I knew when Jackson was swinging well because his power alley was the right center, and so his third shot was a home run, and yeah, I mean he just had a big smile on his face for a couple of days, and so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was proud of him too for getting, I think he got the sportsmanship award for the league. So he was obviously a good player, but also, a good teammate. That was something I was pretty proud of him with. And then probably the baseball memory for the two of us was my wife gave me an early birthday present back in 2013, and we got to go to Fenway and see game two of the World Series that year. And so, I got to see that game together. That was pretty special.
All right. So I mean, you do have some really great memories with him.
Oh yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, so I go to a lot of games and I see a lot of things and I see these dads just ripping their kids apart, man. Just getting them in the batting cage and just yelling at them and stuff like that. I mean, what advice would you give to some of these dads?
Yeah, I've made that mistake once. I still regret it, one day after a tournament in Myrtle Beach, actually. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. When I was first starting coaching Jackson Young, I took a program through the Positive Coaching Alliance, PCA. And it was one of the things that stuck with me is 3 pieces of positive reinforcement to one negative. And I've lived to that to this day, even with Jackson, as much as possible is and it's a little different, I think, with your own child, right? Because there's a time to be a dad and there's a time to be the coach. And sometimes you just got to know when that is. But yeah, these kids are so impressionable at this age, even up to the age 18. They're developing, mentally and physically. I don't think there's a place for that. I mean, just if you're going to be a coach, you got to have a lot of patience and words matter. And every kid's going to take in that information you're giving them differently, and so if you don't get through the first time, try a different way, right? So see if you can get through to them. But positivity.
Yeah. And enjoy those moments. Enjoy those moments.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I was experiencing a dad yelling at his kid in the batting cage, just telling him he's terrible, just horrible. If he's gonna waste his money, he's not coming back with him. And it really tugged at my heartstrings. And my son was with me, and he's like, Dad, he goes, go over there and say something. I said, no, I don't want to get involved. He said, Dad, go over there and say something. He goes, I know you'll be calm. And I'm like, oh. So I finally go over there and I tell the dad, so you mind if I give him a couple pointers? He goes, no, he's his leg and his arm and blah. And I say, yeah, I'll talk to him. I see what he's doing. And I walk in and I tell the kid, he's maybe like 11, 12, and he is
Yep.
about to burst out in tears. And I said, listen, number one, we're going to do something. We're going to smile. Okay, give me a smile. He gave me a smile. I
Yeah.
said, okay, listen, we're having fun. This is fun. This is
Right.
when you strike out. It's okay. It's all right to strike out. Listen, I want you to do one thing. What's that? I said, keep your chin down, eye on the ball all the way until it hits the bat. I said, that's all. He goes, yeah, but my leg, forget about your leg. I was like, iron the ball all the way till it hits the bat. Keep your chin down. You're moving your head up. Just keep your chin down. That's it. Chin on the chest. Okay, you can do it. And I tell you, the next 5 pitches were frozen ropes. Pow, pow, pow. The fall, yeah, it was his leg, right? Yeah, it was his leg. Wasn't you yelling at him 15,000 times
Yeah.
behind the poor kid? I was like, it was his leg. All right, yeah. And when the kid left, I said, I gave him a little rock. I said, hey, you're doing good. You're fine. Don't worry about it. No big deal.
Yeah, exactly. That's positive reinforcement, right?
Yeah.
And you got to keep it simple. It's a complex game, and you can't get too. And I guess the other coaching or piece of advice for parents is don't get so hung up on wins and losses, right? No college coach is going to say, what was your 10-year-old travel team's record, right? I mean, what was your, U15's travel team's record? They don't care. So I mean, if the kids are getting good coaching and improving and getting better every year, I mean, it's all that matters, right? And so,
And you know what? Sometimes, and I've got buddies that are scouts, and they will turn around, and sometimes it comes down to a personality.
yeah,
They got 2 positions that they have to fill, and they got 7 guys, and they look and they say, well, this guy's the same batting average, this guy's the same power, this guy's the same speed, and this guy's got a bad attitude, and this kid, he's got a good attitude. He came from a good family.
right.
His mom and dad are
Agree.
here cheering him on. And sometimes that is that's what gets them on.
Yeah,
Because they know that the mom and dad is not yelling and screaming and 50,000 this and that and the other thing. And they're like, yeah, this guy he's got good background, good family. He looks like a humble, he's hungry. He comes to work every day. He's trainable, he's teachable. And yeah, we're gonna take him.
yeah, I agree.
The other kid bats 319 and this one bats 305, but he's got a better attitude. And we'll take him.
Yeah, I've had college coaches say, parents that were loud and yell at the umps and, talking to the coaches all the time, that they're like, they pass, because they're recruiting the parents as well, because they know those parents are going to be coming to their sons' college games. And so parents, just you're under the watchful eye too. So just, be aware of that. So yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Absolutely. So if somebody wants to donate to the foundation, how would they do it?
Yeah, the easiest way is to go to www.jacksonyelle.com. So and it's YELLE. And there's a donate button there. So that's the easiest. You can do that. Or you can send a check if you'd like to the Jackson Yelle Family Foundation, P.O. Box 86, Northeast Ham, Massachusetts 02651.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, thank you. I appreciate it so much, Scott, for you being on.
Yeah.
Talking about this happy, sad, thing that you're going through. And I wish you luck through the whole rest of the year. And I hope, at the end of this, there's a big rainbow for you. You get a big hug from Jackson and he says, Dad, thank you. We did it. He goes, you did it for me. And for those mom and dads out there, listen, this is one of those stories that, stands your hair up on your edge. And you never want to go through this, but Scott is doing something that's going to change other kids' lives, even though his child is no longer with us. And I'm sure Jackson is up there smiling and cheering you on, Scott.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, thanks for having me on. And I'll just share it. The schedule. If anybody of your listeners are going to be in any ballparks,
Okay.
I love meeting people. It's part of the fun of doing the tour, is meeting all these interesting folks. And so I'll be in Milwaukee on June 2nd. I'll be at the Wrigley Field, the Cubs, on June 4th. I'll be at the White Sox on June 6th, St. Louis June 7th, Kansas City June 8th, and then finish up on June 9th in Detroit. So if anyone's out there, just shoot me an email. If you go to jacksonyelle.com, you'll see a contact. I'd love to just meet, say hi, hear your story, and meet some new faces. So I love it.
There you go. All right, Scott, thank you for sharing your story. And mom and dad out there, Scott would do anything, I'm sure, to give his son a hug. So tonight, your son, your daughter, heck, your wife, your mom, your dad, give them a hug.
Yeah, great advice.
You're here today. We're not promised tomorrow.
Yeah, great advice.
All right. All right. Thanks. Thank you for being
awesome. Thanks, Robert.
All right. You have a good one. Everybody, remember, as we say here on Who's on First, keep swinging.
If you like this show, please do me a favor. Subscribe. Right. You see it? It's right there. Subscribe, share, like, and don't forget, put that bell on. It'll ding you when I put something else on, all right?